The Sailor 1911 Large is a fairly standard pen with very desirable nibs. The one I have has a bespoke Naginata Togi nib, which is ground by Yukio Nagahara. The Naginata Togi elevates the 1911 to another level, but it also elevates the price. I paid €270 for mine. In all honesty, I find the 1911L's design boring, though not uninspired, because it looks a lot like a Mont Blanc copy. The gold demonstrator is the least boring standard option. There are some special editions that I prefer, but these weren't available with the NM nib. The clear demonstrator keeps a flashy, almost gaudy, clear plastic and gold metal aesthetic with bits of solid black plastic. I think Sailor makes the best looking nibs. I love the shape and pattern. The Naginata Togi tip gives the nib a unique profile. From the side, the tip has a very nice sword-like curve. After all, the nib is named after a Naginata. The 1911L uses a proprietary piston converter. Like every converter I've used, the seal stops working after a few months. A tiny bit of silicone grease fixes this problem temporarily. It's a bit of an annoyance, but it isn't a big deal. For €270 though, I would be much happier with a piston filler. There are some advantages to a converter though. They're easier to clean, cheaper to replace, and you can fill the pen without dipping the nib. However, they're not as nice to use and just aren't as cool as a piston. This converter holds barely any ink, even for a converter. With a nib like this medium Naginata Togi, the converter sometimes doesn't even last me a day of writing. To make matters worse, the converter is difficult to fill to max capacity. The converter is easily the worst part about this pen. As for the cap, the threads are very well made. It caps onto the body very smoothly and there's no wiggle once it's on. It takes about 2.2 turns to get on and off, which is a lot of turns and I don't like that. It makes note-taking less quick. I should note that I removed the inner cap from mine. I have not encountered any issues with drying out or faulty capping. I removed it for aesthetic purposes. There are no seams from injection molding except on the grip section. This is disappointing and I noticed it without looking for it at first. The raised seam might have been worn down over its 20 months of use, and I don't notice it anymore. The plastic is well polished and transparent, but this means that any dust, dirt, or ink buildup will be very noticeable. The 1911L is a short but thick pen. This makes it very comfortable. The thickness makes it less suitable for small, fine writing, but I could write with it for hours comfortably. It's well balanced, both posted and unposted, which is a rare thing to see. This nib is the only reason I bought this pen. No other aspect of the 1911L really appeals to me, but the €270 price tag is worth it for the nib alone. This nib is phenomenal. The Naginata Togi is made to provide line width that varies with the angle of the pen to paper. This effect is quite subtle but very useful. It makes the nib very versatile if you like to change how big you write certain things. However, my favorite feature of this nib is its architect effect. It makes my handwriting look nice since I write in block caps, and it also affects the feedback of the nib. Side strokes are broader and have more feedback, and vertical strokes are sharper and feel smoother. This variation in feedback is what I love about the writing feel. It makes it very easy to control and just feels great. It's very easy for me to get consistent handwriting with this nib. Even my sloppy handwriting looks better with it because of the line variation. Unfortunately, on my unit, one tine is longer than the other. This makes upside down handwriting very scratchy. You can write with it vertically to get very thin lines though. At very low angles, there isn't much variation in horizontal or vertical strokes. The medium width is very broad. For block caps writing, which is how I write 90% of the time, it's not too thick. For any other kind of writing, except maybe Arabic, Japanese or Chinese characters, it's quite unusable. Of course, you can angle it higher to get a narrower width, but for me this is not comfortable for a long time. I think a medium fine nib would have been better for me and would definitely be better for most people. I paid €270 for this Sailor and I have no regrets. Whether or not it's worth it to you depends entirely on if you like the characteristics of the Naginata Togi. If you're not in love with what the Naginata Togi has to offer, I wouldn't recommend it. The standard nibs are much cheaper and look just as beautiful. They are also wonderful writers, but I don't own one myself. This pen isn't even available anymore because the Naginata Togi is only offered on a special line of pens. The price has also been increased significantly. This is unsurprising because a bespoke nib like this for €270 was a great deal. I think my holy grail pen would be this nib in a custom body.